Are you ready? You're listening to the Kyle Mackey Podcast. Let's get this show started. Have you ever felt stuck? Like you're doing everything right, but still not seeing the results you want in your business or personal life? Or perhaps you know what you want to do, but just can't bring yourself to do it. What if the key to unlocking extraordinary success wasn't just about finding the right strategy, but something deeper? Now, back in August, I attended a Tony Robbins seminar, Business Mastery, and although the seminar was based around business, I felt there was one key concept which anyone can benefit from. And so today, we're going to discuss it. Now, Tony Robbins, an American entrepreneur, life and business strategist, and philanthropist, known for his high-energy seminars and books that inspire personal transformation and success, spoke on a particular concept of breakthroughs as the foundation of both business and personal life mastery. Now, a breakthrough is a moment in time, a decision, insight, truth, understanding, or experience where life is never the same again. It's when what seemed impossible suddenly becomes possible, and you no longer settle for less than extraordinary. Now, the problem here is that many people struggle to achieve their goals, pulling back too soon, making excuses, or sabotaging themselves, despite having the strategies. This often stems from a lack of mastering over internal elements. So the solution to this is Tony Robbins' framework for creating breakthroughs by mastering 3 interconnected elements, which is your strategy, your story, and your state. So for those of you who don't know who Tony Robbins is, he started his personal quest starting from a poor background to understanding what makes people's leaders and achieve their dreams while others don't. He realized that relying on luck or resources wasn't the answer, but rather resourcefulness, born from an internal drive or hunger. So what we're going to do in today's podcast is we'll do a deep dive into Tony Robbins' foundational principles for breakthroughs. We'll break down the critical roles of state, story, and strategy, understanding their powerful interconnection, and learn how to leverage them to create radical, massive improvements in your life and potentially business if you have one. So, I know I said strategy, story, state, but the foundation to it all is actually state. State always comes first, and it's by far the most important. Your emotional state is the most powerful filter that determines what you look at your life, how you look at your life. It influences the stories you tell yourself and whether you find the necessary strategies to succeed. So if you're in a bad state of mind, it doesn't matter if you have the best story to push you forward and, these strategies from other experts, you're probably not going to have the success that you like. If you're in a depressive state of mind, if you are, not enjoying life, if you are feeling down about yourself or down about other things around, it's really hard to, use your story to push through that sometimes. But it's quite easy to sometimes change your state. State ultimately determines how you think and feel. So again, if you're in a sad state, if you're in a mad state, if you're in a depressive state, it is going to ultimately change the way you think and feel. An example of this is when anger. When angry, you tend to remember everything negative someone has ever done, and parts of your brain support that angry state. An example could be if you're, driving home from work and you get cut off, it pisses you off a little bit. Your brain goes into a completely different direction. And then you start thinking about other things that piss you off, and it's just F this, F that. everything around you, because, once that one thing triggered that anger inside, then all these other angry emotions start popping up. But if you can quickly change that, like let's say, for example, somebody cuts you off and you notice that you're angry. So you're like, maybe I should put on like some comedy. Like today, there was a moment where, something didn't go the way I'd hoped. I got some information that I wasn't happy about. So I put on some Jimmy Carr. The little, like, have you guys ever seen the carrot in a box? I can't remember what the guy's name is. He's passed now, but it was on 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown. But there's this one thing where it's the two people and one person has to say whether they have a carrot in their box, whether it's true or not. They ultimately want to have the carrot in there, so they got to lie and stuff like that. And this guy does it epic. It's so funny. I've seen it before, but it was one of the videos that was there. I clicked on it, put me in a better state of mind, and then I had a much better rest of my day. So again, changing that state has a tremendous impact on everything else that comes to follow. And if you just stay in that cut off traffic, angry state, then other things are going to make you angry, and then the anger is going to build up, and at some point you're just going to burst. Another example is like love. When your head's over heels in love, you're willing to do anything for that person, contrasting to how you might respond in a different state later in the relationship. In that first year, everything's super exciting. You'll do anything to make them happy. So that way, puts a smile on their face, and, the nights that you're spending together, it's just super exciting. But later on down the road, they ask the same thing, and you give a completely different response because it's not as exciting anymore. So like planning romantic dates in the beginning, they're like extravagant. They're out there. They're so good. Your partner's just dying to go on the next date. And then like 2-3 years in, it's like, when did we even go on a date last? Because again, your head's over heels in love in that first instance. And then later on, it's just like the same thing over and over. You don't have that same. It's like, personally, I think, not that I'm a great expert on this subject matter, but I think it's important that, you still keep putting effort into those dates after 2, 3, 4, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years. If you make it that far, I know nowadays people are not probably going to be making it to 50 years married unless we live forever. But whatever the case is, if you still feel that head over heels in love, and you'll still keep putting in those great effort to make amazing romantic dates. So decisions as well, your emotional state powerfully shapes the 3 decisions you make in every moment, such as what to focus on, what things mean, and what to do. So, if you're in a bad state of mind, you're just going to focus on all the bad things around you, the things that aren't going well, the things that could improve. You're going to give negative meaning to it. It's like, I lost my job. Oh, everything's falling apart. Obviously, I'm not good at the work that I do. Life is so hard on me. But if you focus on like, oh man, this is great. I get new opportunity to try to start this business I've been wanting to start. You've just given it a completely different meaning. You're looking at the positive in the situation. And then, it's like, I got this opportunity. I got to start applying for new jobs, or I got to start this new business. I got to change this, doom and gloom into something super exciting and optimistic. So if you focus on the doom and gloom, you'll feel that way. If you focus on the opportunities, you'll find them. People who focus on what they can't control or what they're missing tend to be depressed. So if you don't want to be depressed, focus on the things you can have control over. When you focus on what you can control over, damn, life's so much better. And then when it comes to the meaning side of it, whether a problem is seen as punishment, a challenge, or a gift, change your feelings, your strategies, change your feelings and the strategy you'd find. So again, like if somebody says you have to do this work and you're like, oh, you're just punishing me. But if it's like, maybe they just want me to challenge myself so I can grow, so I become better at this thing. Again, it's a different way, a different state of mind. It's going to make the whole experience feel a whole lot better. Boom. It's going to continue on in a positive way from that. And then your actions. So quitting, pursuing a goal, staying in a relationship are shaped by your emotions. So you're probably going to take really bad actions when you're in that bad state of mind. But when you're in a great state of mind, that's when you want to take instant action. Like you want to take full tilt advantage of everything you're going through. Honestly, like I just got back from a 2-week trip overseas. And one thing that I'm slightly disappointed about, I did this 5-day seminar with Tony Robbins. I was in like peak state, the best state it could have been. And the best thing I could have done is like take immediate action. I've decided I am going to start a sales training company. I should have taken action before I left. That should have been the number one thing I did. I waited. I came back. I'm not in that peak state. I'm not as motivated as I was before. But when I was in that peak state of emotion, if I would have taken action then, boom, I would have came back a little bit more motivated, a little bit more excited, and possibly jumped right back into it, where now I've been dragging my ass a little bit. But, you know, I can change my state again. Changing your state is actually not as hard as it might seem. Honestly, to change your state, you really just have to change something. Again, today, as I said, when things weren't going right, I popped on a video of Jimmy Carr, instantly better. You know, if you're in bed and you're feeling like a little bit depressed and you know if exercise is going to make you feel better, literally just get up, go exercise. I guarantee you're going to feel better. Yes, it's tough. It's tough to be like, shit, life sucks. I'm in bed right now. I just want to stay in this bed. I want to curl up with this blanket. I want to just keep the lights off. I don't want to see anything. But you know, the moment that you get out of the bed, you go for that run, everything changes. Your state of mind is significantly better. So get the fuck out of the bed and just go for it. Like that's what you got to do. To change your state, you got to change something. And like different people say different things. Some people say, you know, count like the 5-second rule. I'm pretty sure is Mel Robbins, like 5 seconds, just change something. It all gets better. Some people like a 90-second rule or a 2-minute rule, but you can change your state instantly. All you got to do is take some sort of action. So once you're in this great state of mind, everything becomes a lot easier. But what'll make it the most easy is if you have a powerful story to back it up. So your narrative or your story is what shapes your reality. Your personal narrative or story often prevents you from finding effective solutions and transforming your life. It can sustain problems and kill your hunger and drive. So like if you just constantly tell yourself you're shit at something over and over and over again, when you have an opportunity to take action and, you know, try to find a solution, if you've just told yourself all these times, like, I'm shit at this, I'm the worst at whatever the thing I'm doing, you know, we're going to get into some examples here, but like, it's not going to help you in any sort of way. You know, people who succeed, they create stories about how they will achieve their goals, no matter what, rather than reasons why they can't. So like one that everybody's going to, not everybody, I'm sure there's some people who are just naturally gifted with that amazing metabolism. I've never had to try to lose weight once in their life, but I think the majority of us have all gone on a diet at some point. I used to be a runner, so I had to lose weight all the time, try to keep that weight down. It's one of the main reasons I gave up running, because it was way too difficult to do there. But, you know, when people are trying to lose weight, they'll be like, I'm big boned. I've tried everything. You know, like I don't have the resources. There's just too much delicious food in the pantry or in the fridge. I just can't stop putting that food down. That chocolate milk is just delicious. You know, these stories are all protecting you from the pain and the discomfort, and ultimately they imprison you. But when you start telling yourself different things, such as, I don't need this sugar, I can close that fridge door, I don't have to buy it at the first place in the grocery store. I got YouTube with millions of different resources out there on how I can lose weight differently. Try something new. I'm not big boned. I'm skinny boned with a bunch of muscle around it. I don't know what you want to say, but when you change your story, I'm great at losing weight. I'm not saying lie to yourself, but if you always tell yourself the negative, it's just going to continue to be a negative result. But if you tell your stories that are going to bring you up and raise you up and make you better at what you do, you know, everything's going to become a lot easier. When I was, younger, one of my friends used to say I was delusional because I always believed I could do anything. But I think that's like one of the most powerful stories you can tell yourself, is that believing that you can do anything, because at least then you'll try. You might fail, and that's cool. I don't mind if I fail. I've failed a lot. I've had like 6-7 businesses. Most have failed, but I believed I could do it, and so I tried. If you don't believe you're going to do it, you're probably not even going to try in the first place. And then resourcefulness. The real problem is that often not a lack of resources, but a lack of resourcefulness. So empowering stories lead to finding answers through creativity, determination, discipline, even without initial resources. Tons of people will blame external circumstances and say, oh, they just have that business because they, knew this person or knew that person. The truth of the matter is, yeah, they did know that person or knew that person, but they probably put in the effort in the first place to meet that person. They didn't have that person there. They went and found that person. And that's what the resourcefulness was. It's like they put in the effort to find the solution, find the resource that they need to have the success that they wanted. An example I have here, and that he talks about Oprah Winfrey, in her biography, apparently, when she was born to a 13-year-old mother, she was abused. She also was pregnant at 13. She had a stillborn baby. All that would probably predict a grim future. Oprah Winfrey, super, super successful. But however, she created an empowering story focusing on what she could control and achieve, becoming one of the most influential people globally. Like, everybody knows Oprah Winfrey. So again, you could let that story be the story that holds you back, or you can create a brand new story and become awesome. That's simple. You can just become awesome. And honestly, it's the story you tell yourself. Other people can tell you shit all they want. You can accept their story and just take it and run with it. Or you can just create a better story for yourself that allows you to be the person you want to be. And that's when you're going to have the success. So successful people never get there by blaming others or conditions. They change their story. And that's what's key to changing your own life. So again, it doesn't matter what stories you've done up to today. You can always change your stories. I believe if you download my workbook, which I've talked about before, I'm pretty sure there's things about creating your own story in there. So take out that journal, go through it, create a new story. The stories that have gotten you to where you are today don't need to be the stories that are going to get you forward. Everybody around you doesn't even have to believe the stories you're saying. You just have to believe those stories. And the more you put those stories into action, the more they're going to be more and more believable. So change that state, change that story. And then once you have both a powerful state to keep you going and a story that motivates you and makes you believe that you can find the resource you need to have the success that you're looking for, well, that's when having a plan and strategy can take it to that next level. So strategies are powerful, but on their own, they're shit. They're not going to do anything for you if you just have strategies. Very few people are just given a strategy and instantly have success. They get a strategy and they are in a great state of mind and they have a story saying that they can implement that strategy, and boom, everything takes off. So a new strategy can change results overnight, offering a better way to do something, an insight or a shortcut. Strategies are specific ways to do something that constantly yield results. It's sort of like a recipe. So, if somebody's done something a particular way and you follow it almost exactly, you should get almost the exact same result. If you don't, the problem is probably something previous. You got a story that's telling you can't do this stuff because you've never done it before, or that you don't have the resources to do it, or that, life's been so tough on you that you can't follow through and create that result yourself. So you got to go back further, change that state, then get that empowering story that makes it so you know that you can get the resources, so that way you can implement these strategies, and boom, you get that success. Now, while strategies are valuable on their own, they're worthless without the right story and state. So society often has plenty of strategies for like weight loss, fitness. We talked about that before, but it's that people don't follow through. And again, the reason they don't follow through is because of those previous two things. So it's crucial to have the right strategy at the right time, understanding the seasons that we're going through. He talks about this big thing in there, like economic conditions. Like right now is honestly, if you have a great idea, the best time you could probably ever start a business, because we're in a rocky spot, but we're going to get out of this. And those who had a great idea, boom, your business is just going to skyrocket. So if you do things at the right time, But yeah, understanding seasons is essential to avoiding a strategy that worked in the past but is ineffective now. So like if you're trying to make a business, for example, around like what's something that AI is going to replace like instantly? I don't know. But if you know something that's like very manual, but that can be done instantly, like maybe data inputting and stuff, like AI can probably do most of the stuff quicker. Like I'm going to start a data inputting business, and it's like AI can do it in a second. Well, that's a bad time to make that decision. So using a strategy at the right time. So how can I use like AI at this perfect time to make my career take off, my business take off, a thing that you're working on in your life it'll make it easier. So some examples that we're going to go over, if you have the wrong strategy, like the Atkins diet, while causing initial weight loss, it's ultimately unsustainable due to its acidic nature and the side effects. Lots of different diets out there. There are strategies, but, based off who you are, they just might not work properly. So it's the wrong strategy. It's a strategy. It's just not the right one. And then, we won't go into this next thing just because it's more specific for business mastery. But if you just follow certain strategies like what he offers in his course and stuff, you can greatly grow your business, and you can actually do it quite quickly too. If you just follow strategies that have worked for other people, you implement them in that right state and story, you should be able to have that success. And business is a great example of that. A lot of people will talk about like the best way to grow a business is just to get a mentor who's done it before, learn from them, implement those strategies with the right state and story. Boom, you're going to have great. And ignorance is pain. If you are not knowing the right strategy, it can lead to poverty and pain. So we do need to model it off people and just try to implement the strategies that have worked, because if not, it's just going to lead you into the wrong direction. You might get lucky if you try to implement your own ideas and stuff, but again, it's just so much easier if you just get a strategy from somebody else, implement that all together. So the interconnection of state, story, and strategy, the three elements are extremely intertwined. State is obviously first. It influences your story, which ultimately enables you to find and apply the most effective strategies. You can be given the perfect strategy, but if your state or story is limiting, you won't apply it or follow through. So to change your story, you must first change your state. And then once you've done that, you can change the story, and you can find those strategies through resourcefulness, get the results you're wanting. So ultimately, all said and done, a breakthrough involves a moment where something previously impossible becomes possible. It requires a shift in one or all three of these elements: a new strategy, a new empowering story, and a resourceful state. Now, in Business Mastery, it was talking about creating a system that improves your business by empowering you with revolutionary skills and tactics. Breakthroughs create a shift in belief, perception, and standards, leading to greater performance, result, and fulfillment. And it actually was really cool in this. State was a big part of it. Like one of the days before, I think it's on day 2, before we go off to lunch, it's all about getting you into this amazing state where it's just like, I can do this, I can do it. And it brings it to a place where it's like, it gets you into that state and in such a way that everything seems believable after that. It might not be easy. It might be tough, but you're in such a positive state that everything that comes afterwards, like I can do all that for sure. So once you're in that state, your destiny is going to be determined by the decisions, not your conditions. By consciously controlling your focus and the meaning you assign to the events, your actions, you gain that internal control. So all this is possibly controlled over. You can, take the reins. You just have to start from, again, that first place, that state. So the main takeaways from today's episode, I know it's a short one, but state is paramount. Your emotional state is the most powerful filter influencing your story and your ability to use strategies effectively. So start with state. Then stories empower or they imprison. So cultivate empowering stories that drive you to find solutions and pursue goals rather than limiting narratives that protect you from discomfort. We're all in pursuit of pleasure or pain. Give yourself stories that make you go after the pleasures in life, not just trying to avoid the pain. If you're just trying to avoid the pain, that's where you get stuck where you are. And then strategy is critical, but obviously it's not enough. So seek the right strategies for the right time. But remember that the application depends on your state and story. So again, work on those first two, then get those strategies, ideally from some experts who have done this shit before, implement it, then you get the results. Resourcefulness over resources. The ultimate resource is human emotion and your capacity for resourcefulness. Don't think that Joe Blow down the street has just got it all because he just knew the right people. No, it's that he met the right people. He put in the effort and came across them. Yes, there's going to probably be a few lucky people out there, but most people who've gotten where they've gotten have been resourceful and found the resources that they need to have that success. And decisions shape your destiny. So take control of your focus, your meaning, your actions to create the breakthroughs that you desire. It's the decisions that you make that are going to have the results that you want in your life. You can listen to this podcast and be like, oh, my state's great, never try to change it. Nothing's going to change. But if you're in a peak state and you're like, this is amazing, you have that state of mind that makes you know that you can go for it, and then you start creating the stories to back it up, and then you look for those strategies, all those decisions that I'm going to stay in this peak state, that I'm going to create these empowering stories, that I'm going to find those strategies that are going to take me to that next level. That's what you need to do. So what I challenge each of you to do today is identify at least one area this week where you want to experience a breakthrough. Then reflect. What state are you currently in regarding this area? What's your story? What are you telling yourself about it? And then choose one action to shift either your state or to reframe your story this week. If you're in an amazing state, go to story. But if you're not in the best state, start there. Start with whichever one's first. You know, if you're listening to this podcast, hopefully it just got you into this peak state and you're just like, yeah, life's amazing. I'm so happy. I can do whatever. I got it. But again, if you don't have the state, work on that first and just change things. It's just changing things. Whether it's 5 seconds, whether it's 90 seconds, whether it's 2 minutes, make a change. The moment you're not in the state of mind that you want, make a change. If you stay in that exact same place, if you don't move your body, if you don't take some sort of action, small or large, your state's not going to change. I can guarantee you that. And then once you choose what it is, take one action to shift that state or reframe the story. It doesn't have to be this big thing. It can start small and then just grow from there. So if you liked what I was talking about, again, you can definitely check out Tony Robbins. You don't necessarily check out Business Mastery. You can actually just see what this on podcasts that he's been on before. Honestly, I've done now 3 seminars with Tony Robbins. They've all been great. I feel like I grow and learn each time I do them. But definitely check out his stuff. It's probably one of the top coaches out there. And I've learned and grown a lot from the stuff that he does. You can check out his website, tonyrobbins.com, for more information. Again, check out his podcast. He has a bunch of other free resources out there. So look at all those. Again, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And we'll be back in 2 weeks with another one. So until then, live it up, change that state, and change that story.
Thanks for listening. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.